It's been 450 years since I, a talking staff with no memories, kindled the light in my prison and saw a strange woman who would change my life forever. Her story began in this chamber, and between these walls we will end it together. Merhaba, Geron. Welcome.
You were able to free yourself.
What does all this mean? Where are we?
Ask him.
Indeed. Ask me. You should know that I've waited a long time for this day, and would not like to wait much longer. But if you have a great many questions...
What's going to happen here?
So you still haven't figured out why I sent you my memories? Why you're here?
I am here because Fahi promised to change Nuri back into a fairy if I helped him with a little riddle. No one said anything about ensouled magic staves, flying fortresses, and strange dreams.
Life is full of surprises, isn't it?
Ha!
You laugh, but I wouldn't have believed that one day someone would rescue me from my dungeon, that I was to climb mountains without legs and wrestle without arms with demons. I would have laughed if someone had told me a princess will appear to you and, despite your strange form, show you the greatest wonders of the world. Oh, how I would have laughed!
Okay, but that doesn't explain why we're here.
You know that Sadja and I were separated. Our golden time together came to an end when I finally found a way to leave the Gorian desert. Centuries had passed. I wanted to know if Sadja had done it, if she had become the great heroine she always wanted to be. I wanted to hear how her name was whispered in the streets in awe. Sadja al-Kabir, Sadja the Great, the heroine who once... But no one had ever heard of her. So I continued and expanded my search. I wanted to know what happened to her after our separation. I followed her trail back to Draconia. I found the Adept's journal and the Djinn of Times' mask. But Sadja's real fate remained a mystery to me. Finally, I met Fahi and asked him to bring me here. A man named Ulrich had taken her ruby from Draconia and brought it to Andergast. He sought the mask in order to bring back his deceased wife, but he found only the gemstone.
Is all this really important?
Why did you need the ruby? Why the mask? Why all of this?
I wanted to bring together all the relics surrounding Sadja's disappearance and finally understand what happened to her. At least I would know what happened to her. She deserved that. There was only one problem. I'm terrible at riddles. That's why I needed experts to help me, who could understand every detail, who could be prepared for today.
Prepared? To do what?
To be able to tell Sadja's tale to the end without making a mistake.
Does it matter how she died? She's dead. We can't change that.
You're wrong. You will determine what happened to her.
I don't understand.
The Garden of Oblivion, Geron. I read the journal to the end. After her return, Sadja went into the Garden of Oblivion and never came out again. Nothing that happens in the garden has actually happened until someone talks about it. Outside the garden.
And since Sadja has been forgotten since that day, her fate has never been told, and thus never completed.
I never did understand the garden.
Geron, the events in the garden have no effect on the outside world, as though they never happened. Only once someone convincingly tells of those events do they become true.
But if it turns out that they lied, or were mistaken,
then Satanav's invisible hand punishes them for their sacrilege.
That's why we mustn't make a mistake. I think I've explained enough about our wondrous meeting.
Are you ready, Geron?
Just a moment. At the waterfall, you promised to change Nuri back to her old form.
And I will, but first, we must complete Sadja's story.
What about the inscription on the burial chamber?
You mean the stone and the scarab? Fahi believes that the inscription is the key to everything. But as apt as his intuition may be, in this case he's mistaken. The riddle is apparently only a strange jotting on the margins, a random blemish on an otherwise monumental painting. There's nothing else to say about it. Sadja was taken to the burial chamber to read trivial inscriptions, and, as proud as she was, she refused, that's all.
What's Fahi's role in all this?
Fahi is a man of many talents. He has a feeling for tales, and he's good at solving riddles. In addition, he had a wagon and a tent in which I could hide on my long journey. He is helping me solve the riddle, and in return, I protect his business from looters. That is our agreement.
So he's actually harmless.
Fahi is the most harmless man I've ever met in my 3,000 years. I was sorry to petrify him, but it was the only way to save him from your fellow citizens.
Why are you here, Brider? Sadja's story doesn't have anything to do with you.
Geron, there's nothing left for me here. I'm a deserter. My own comrades are hunting me. This is my only refuge. Please, even if you still don't understand, let me bring it to an end.
I'm sure everything will be fine again.
The world will never be as fine as it once was.
What if one of us ends Sadja's story and is wrong?
If Satinav learns that the tale we tell can't possibly be true, then he'll make it unhappen and declare the teller guilty of sacrilege.
Don't worry, Geron. We won't make a mistake. I've thought everything through very carefully.
All right.
Then put the mask on the bust of my old master and let us begin. Thank you, Geron. Are you ready now?
Yes.
Let's get this over with.
Thank you, Geron.
Which of you will now step forward and tell the story to its end?
If it's so important to you, then you finish it.
Thanks, Geron.
Very well. I'll now tell you of Sadja's passage into the garden, as it is written in the Adept's journal. Listen closely. At the end, you must tell me how the story ends. After her return from the battlefield, Sadja was only a shadow of herself. She had seen the horrors of the Nether Hells, an ocean of destruction and death. She was the only survivor, but the rest of the world did not care. Sadja's great dream had failed. She wandered the halls of Draconia like a ghost. She didn't eat, and she only slept when exhaustion forced her to. On the fourth day, a young adept saw her at the threshold to the portal. He asked her where she was going. It was cold in the mountains, and she could have become lost, whereupon she answered,
I'm going to the garden to break my being.
The boy immediately ran to the air adept, but help arrived too late. When they entered the garden, all that they found was the mask and Sadja's ruby next to it. There was no sign of her. Out of fear of challenging Satinav, it was decided that they would forget the incident. No one was allowed to speculate about what had happened on that day. The mask and the ruby were taken to Draconia. The garden was sealed, and Sadja's fate was forgotten. Until today. Are you sure you don't want to finish the tale, Geron?
All right, I'll do it. Sadja entered the garden. She sat on the ground. She took out the mask. She looked into the mask and...
She read the magic spell, memorized it, put on the mask, and destroyed her memory.
Why did you interrupt me?
I was afraid you would say the wrong thing. Then she disappeared into the depths of the garden like a soulless waif and was never seen again.
It is done. I had always hoped it would be otherwise, but I was mistaken.
Are you crying?
Of course I'm crying. My princess just died.
Oh, well, I guess that's it then. That was the end just now, wasn't it?
Yes.
No. Since Sadja used the mask, her memories are now in the mask, and thus the true name of the Djinn of Time.
What are you doing?
Fadan fascadan es blas de quatan, humuri lor gras, Ferel Goran, Hil bemotir kerul felan, Juntir katan filontir sodan. Nijetime ta for imano iruti veda.
Ah, I've been awakened.
The Djinn of Time.
Tell me, child, what is your wish?
I'm sorry, Geron, but there's nothing left for me in this time. As if there had ever been anything for me here. There are no heroic princesses, no ancient tombs, no flying fortresses. Only endless honor guards, latrine duty, one triviality after another. When was the golden age lost? When princesses still dreamed of battles and the world was filled with magic. I wish it was all as it used to be.
Your wish is my command.
Bryda.
The girl is now gone. Her longing now rules over her existence. It is my task to fulfill that longing. To extinguish the grey present and bring the past to life again.
Oh no. The forest is starting to change. What did she do?
Geron, come quickly.
Bryda? Not yet. The Djinn of Time would immediately tear me to pieces.
Geron, I've been thinking.
That's nice, but it won't help us any. Bryda told Sadja's story to the end. She had Sadja put on the mask and draw out all her memories in the Garden of Oblivion, so that everything has now happened exactly like that. And she read out Sadja's memories with the ruby. I mean, Bryda did that. And now she's possessed by the Djinn of Time. And
Calm yourself, Geron.
I'm supposed to calm down? We have to do something.
You're right. And we can only do something if we prove that Bryda was wrong, that Sadja did not put on the mask. You forget that there's still a part of the riddle we have not solved.
The scarab? As if a pointless riddle could save us all.
Do you have a better idea? Look around. We're in a copy of the burial chamber. Perhaps you'll find the crucial clue somewhere. Bring it to me, and perhaps we can solve the riddle once and for all.